Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. It is a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. I'd like to extend my gratitude in you listening to this podcast. It means everything to me, and I hope it is clear that this subject matter is so important to me. I care about our people, our future, and making a positive change in this nation.
This episode is powered by Poddex.
Do you find it difficult to come up with content ideas for your podcast? Or perhaps you've gotten stuck during an interview with a guest where you just have nothing more to ask? Try Poddex today. Poddex is the best all-in-one podcast idea generation tool. You get everything from episode ideas to interesting conversation starters for interviews, engaging discussions for your live streams, and even social media content ideas. With this tool, you don't have to spend weeks trying to come up with content for an episode or unique questions for your guests. Just shuffle the cards, pick one at random, hit the record button, and get started. Now you can make better content, have more fun while you're at it, and get your viral moment. All with Poddex. Head over to poddex.com and use code C4C. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Woke by Accident podcast. This is a weekly chat about socially conscious topics impacting the culture. Today we have a special guest, Shawn Smith, who is the executive producer of Drippin' in Black podcast and Raw Conversations podcast, and he is a fellow member of the Content Creators of Color Collective. Today, we're going to step away from our normal format. Welcome to the show, Shawn.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good. Glad to have you.
I hope it's not as cold as down there than it is up here. We're in Michigan and it's freezing.
It's quite chilly. It is quite chilly. And I actually have to go out in this mess later today, so I've been trying to avoid it. But yeah, so we are finally connecting. So I'm very happy to have you on my show today. And there's a great podcast idea generation tool called Poddex, which offers physical card decks and an interactive app with countless conversation starters and unique questions that can be used for interviews or game nights. So Shawn has agreed to take part in the festivities today, and we are going to get into the Black History Pod Decks today. So this pod deck that we're looking at today is exclusively on the app for Pod Decks, and you can check out this great product at poddex.com using our code C4C to take advantage of this. So let's get started.
Right.
What are some of the things you think people outside the Black community don't understand about African American vernacular, English, and code switching?
Ooh, okay. You hit me hard at the beginning. What are some things that people outside the Black community? You know, historical wise, you know, it was literally life or death.
Okay.
You know, so it was couldn't talk to white folks in a certain manner, or you might be lynched or killed. So if you look historically, definitely been literally life or death. And, you know, if you're talking about trauma, we carry that, and we are, especially when you are exposed to other races and other realms in the, you know, that we live in, you have to be able to.
Yeah, that's true. And so, you know, like now it's popular to use slang, and hip hop culture is really prevalent, but I guess depending on the scenario, like you said, you have to code switch. So that's a thing.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. Yes.
Okay, let's move along. This next one. Do you think schools and businesses do a good enough job of celebrating Black History Month?
Ooh, I would say not really. I am an educator, so I could definitely take on the school situation. I've taught in an urban district. I've taught in a predominantly white district, and it is definitely very different in how they do Black history in those two different places. One of my very first stories when I went into teaching, I was teaching in Milwaukee, out of all places, and I was sitting in the where the teachers eat, and they were having a conversation, but they was real quiet. They was having a conversation by me, and I was just eating there. Remember, I'm the only African American teacher there. And someone, I think it seemed like they got enough bravery, and asked me, what do you think about Black history? And what should we do about Black History Month? And I sat there for a minute, kept eating, and said, I don't think there should be Black History Month. I think you should teach it with all the rest of the history. And that left their mouth open.
Oh, gosh.
They left their mouth open. So, this place had another insensitive situation. Real quick to do this. This is what you have to talk about, especially when you're talking about a predominantly white place trying to encapsulate without any education on it. This place had a beautiful open area, and they had all the flags of different countries around there. So let me tell you, this is in early 90s. So they had this program called the 2020 program, where they were busing Black students into the school district outside of Milwaukee, Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, if people know where that is, right outside of Milwaukee. And they were busing these students in. They said, well, we want to have something to represent the Black students when they come in this beautiful building and see a flag that represents the African diaspora. They bought a South African flag. Now, you put that in the timing where apartheid was still going on and about to end, that was very insensitive. So ignorant is harmful, and it costs.
Right. And that makes me think about an issue going on in the news right now that I'm not sure if you saw this in Massachusetts, where a Catholic school decided to serve fried chicken to celebrate Black History Month. And this is Xavier Brothers High School in Massachusetts. And they were wanting to highlight a traditional meal in the Southern Black history. And so they decided to serve fried chicken. And apparently they asked a Black lady that works in the kitchen or something like that. And they came up with fried chicken to honor Black History Month. So is that tone deaf or insensitive? And
it's kind of is playing to the stereotypes, definitely. Okay. It is. Fried chicken is not just a African American dish, a meal or something germane to just us, but it is the stereotype of it. So I would have tread lightly with that one, because you are perpetuating a stereotype that is. I would love to go back to history and see where that came from, because there's a lot of white folks that love them some fried chicken, and but why was it negatively stereotyped with us? Along with the watermelon and things. So that's kind of tone deaf, especially if it's something that's based on stereotype. That's kind of hard to do, especially when you're doing it within in a white dominated community, because now that they know, some of them probably know the stereotype, so you just perpetuate the stereotype.
Definitely, I agree. Afterwards, they did make a statement from the administration and issued a formal apology afterwards. So yeah, definitely is pointing toward the stereotype. Fried chicken being associated with Black people or Black culture is definitely thought of as a Southern comfort food, just Southern in period, not just Black people. So, it could be a part of soul food, but that is not what, this was called. This was called Black History Month. So it shouldn't have been just that. Thought that was interesting. And then another thought I had about with businesses celebrating Black History Month, and I was part of this discussion room on Clubhouse lately with some ladies, and they were saying that how some of these retailers are aiming toward Black History Month, maybe a candle store, if you will. We won't necessarily say the name of it, with kente cloth on the label.
Oh, yeah, I did hear about that one.
And so what is the thought about that kind of thing, to embrace
that's weak. That's very weak. Yeah,
okay.
it was the same. It was the same thing. They just wrapped it up in a kente cloth thing, or red, black, and green. I forgot what it was, but we're gonna placate, and we did same candle. It's not like it was supporting a Black candle person of doing that. It wasn't that for the community. It was, okay, we're gonna repurpose these candles, throw a little kente cloth around it, and say it's Black history. Yeah, that was kind of weak. If it happened, now let me say it this way: if it happened that way, that was kind of weak.
Right. I think the extra, as I read it further, whoever designed the graphic of the kente graphic was a Black person, but they slapped it on, their normal products.
Right. It wasn't right. It was. Oh, we gotta do something. Let's slap a label on it, call it a day. It was very little effort to it.
Okay.
Is that better than anything? I don't know, but yeah, that was kind of weak.
Yeah, so that was interesting to see some mainstream brands doing those types of tributes or tokens of Black History Month.
I mean, a small token in their effort.
Yeah, something. Okay, so moving right along, what do you think are a few of the most pivotal moments in Black history?
Ooh. Let me go off the beaten path a little bit. On my first one, I'm gonna go off the beaten path because the civil rights and things. There's some. The one that I didn't know about was what is it called? It called Red Summer in 1919, and that's one that we never really was told about. And I believe it started off they were at this somewhere in the lake, because it was somewhere near Chicago. And they were throwing the rocks at this Black kid, and he drowned. He ended up drowning, and they had riots. But this is one of the stories wasn't told, because there were some men that fought. I guess it would have been World War I at the time. They broke into an armory and fought back. And it's called the Red Summer. I believe it was in 1919 in Chicago. I believe that's where it was. So that would have been a pivotal if we would have if that was something that was taught. Another one to stick out to me. I need to find me some more positive ones, though. Greenwood, and that was because people like to say that Black people are lazy and stuff like that, but when we did it, really what we asked is, leave us alone and we'll be okay. we'll be okay. And when we did well, when we had these Rosewood, I believe Rosewood's in Florida and things like that. When we had them, you got mad and destroyed them. So those are things those are probably more prevalent now that I've read more and looked at things more. Like I say, you always got the civil rights. One of the things that I'm also looking at, and I think this is going to be an episode as well. Shout out to Levi and the Forefront. He encouraged me to do it. It's the Brown versus Board of Education, which was another pivotal moment. Mm-hmm. And doing some research in that was, I think back now and said, would I have taken that route? Would that have been a route that I would have subscribed to, And I know why they did it, because they wanted to win, and they did, but the consequences of it,
right.
We almost as separate now than we were then. So, and what you put the kids through, so that's a hard one. That's something that I might tackle a little bit on the Urban Educator Forum when I'm back at. That's one that I've been struggling with, but I got to do some more research. I got to get my information together.
Oh yes, you'll have to share more about that project that you have. And then since we touched on the civil rights movement, this next question is, can you comment on a pivotal role of Black women in the civil rights movement?
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's a plethora of things. Matter of fact, I was listening to NPR this morning. I'm going to mess up that woman's name. The lawyer, she says she's the mother of the civil rights, worked with Thurgood Marshall and actually in all those cases, and she was with the NAACP Defense Fund, or it's supposed to be NAACP now, right? Mm-hmm. They said not to say the double. I don't know why, but I don't know why, but okay. So I'm gonna get you her name in a second, because that was a pretty good one. But if you go back to if you watch the movie of Red, Judah and the Black Messiah, you see you see the role that the women play, whether it was up front or behind the scenes. And it's like people want to be in front. Well, some people like to be in front of time, but it's always when something is that big, you always got to have the mechanism. Everybody can't be a hand. Everybody can't be a foot. You need all the pieces working together. So women, they definitely played a major role in it.
That's true, right? Not just the people who spoke and took part in the sit-ins and Rosa Parks and things like that, but like how it was demonstrated in the movie Selma, for example, the women who opened their homes up to Martin Luther King and other people in the movement as they traveled through the different cities, and it probably was kind of tight on the resources, and it would be Black people who would open up their home and feed them, and that was significant to the movement too. The episode I had recently with this activist brother Tory Russell, he spoke of that. Everybody can't be out there marching. We need people like you, Jen, to do the media and report it, or we need Big Mama to cook up, feed people. This is different roles to play.
Yep. Her name was Constance Baker Motley.
Oh, okay.
But she did become a judge. She was the first of a lot of stuff in the New York area. They did a nice NPR piece on her, because they're talking about Biden
replacing his seat,
right, with a Black woman.
Yeah,
and she's the one that they're using as this is one that had inspired a lot of young women at that age, during that time, during that civil rights movement, to get into law, because she was doing something unprecedented at that time. And it was very interesting because, they gave Thurgood Marshall great praise for hiring her, but he also hindered her. Because when he did leave, and the defense fund, instead of picking her, they picked someone else, and he had control of that. So it was I don't believe she ever voiced anything about it, but the woman that wrote the book about her, said that was interesting dynamic, because he did help her out a great deal. And she had mentioned that, that was a pivotal point in her career, but he also didn't point to her to take over when he left. So,
interesting.
Yeah, so that was one. I just was listening to one this morning on my walk this morning. So, yes, they played a very big role.
This next one, how do you support your local Black community? Are there specific Black-owned businesses where you shop?
That's a great question right now, because one of the things that I pivot to, and you've seen some of this, is that I wanted to support my tribe, what I would call my tribe. Like, for example, I know you all can't see this. Jen might use this video somewhere else. The shirt I have, this shirt was made by a person that was on the Drippin' in Black podcast, Dr. Lake.
Oh.
And he has a store on Etsy, and he made this. So I started supporting, and one of the things I wanted to do, I wanted to support those people, not only because they was on Drippin' in Black on my podcast and things like that, but other ones. Our friend Michelle from Relationship Through the Looking Glass, I got her cup sitting here. Right. So I've been supporting, and I have. And one of the things that I'm doing, I need to knock on wood, I'm trying to keep on doing that, is when I'm supporting, like I'm buying t-shirts, I'm buying mugs and things like that. So when I'm doing my podcast, now I'm not usually the face of it.
Right.
On C4 Challenge, I do more of that than any time. I try to support and give them a shout out, So
Okay.
I got former student stuff that the people got apparel lines. A former colleague, her daughter has HBCU Famous brand, and I got one of them.
I see you.
I think I only wore it once. I only wore that one once because I can't mess up the white. It's white because I'm scared I'm gonna mess it up. But I wore that. Which one have I wore more? Black Folk Think. So I've been supporting in that way, especially in the creative. In the creative groups that I have been in within the last 2 or 3 years, more so, and doing Drippin' in Black and meeting people like that. So I try to support. In fact, we're going to a birthday party tonight for a Drippin' in Black alum. So
great.
I try to support that way, because that's what it is, and I call it the ligature effect. Is when you link these things together. So we take for instance, a friend of ours, Kat, that does the Sister in Service podcast. Shout out to Kat. And if I know some sisters that are veterans, I pass along to her. So I try to keep that community strong that way. Good people begets good people. So you keep it going along. I'm waiting for my Woke by Accident mug. I like to collect mugs, so I'm waiting for my Woke by Accident.
That would look good on a mug.
I know. Go get one.
Well, you are totally supporting the community. Okay.
I'm trying my darndest.
That's awesome. We're glad to see that. We challenge everyone out there to support at least one Black-owned business or a person of color business during Black History Month. So let that be your call to action, guys.
Oh, yes. Right. Tell them to go to the DiBk Drip Shop. That's a Black business as well. DiBk Drip Shop.
Look, and that's I was just about to pivot and ask you to tell us about your podcast and how folks can reach out.
Oh, well, that's one way. Drippin' in Black podcast, we're in our second season. We just started back. We took a little break through the holiday break, Christmas break, and we just now getting back. And so we're doing our Black History This is the Entrepreneurs series this year. So we got Entrepreneurs. We also got 2 exclusive Dripping in Wokeness. Volume 1 is our friend Afiel Israel Levi.
Okay.
His is coming up. His took a little bit longer because I lost the edit portion. I had to redo it. And volume 2 is our very own Jen Washington. So that's coming up within the next 2 weeks. I believe I did not want to drop them on the weekend. So I think I'm dropping Levi's Monday and yours maybe next Monday. I hope. I'll give you more information on that. So Jen is going to be on the Dripping in Black C4 exclusive premiere. So they're going to be premiered through the C4. So you all that are Jen fans, our Oprah would be, I call her our little Oprah now. So she will be featured on the Dripping in Black, and you get to know more about her story.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Hey, I appreciate that. I really do.
No problems.
All right. And then, so that's Dripping in Black. You have the Raw conversation.
Raw is on break right now, but you can find them all. You can find them all on YouTube on the DiBk channel. That's short for Dripping in Black channel. If you put in Dripping in Black channel, it'll come up. So on YouTube. So both of them are there. And of course, the C4, and I'm doing a lot of experimental stuff on C4. We've done the last drip. That's our historical part of our from Dripping in Black. Did the Urban Educator Forum. Actually, the Urban Educator Forum was really the first idea that I had. I'm an educator, but Dripping in Black took precedence. So and I couldn't do them all because I didn't know what I was doing. so I put it on the back burner, but I have broken it out, and there's a couple of new episodes that's coming out exclusively on C4 from the Urban Educator Forum.
Oh, good. Okay. I think that's awesome. I remember you sharing in some setting of your story about Dripping in Black, and I can totally see you saying that if I do something, it's got to be Dripping in Black.
Oh yeah, it was. It was one of them coming from a long day of work and having a meeting, and just said, man, you get tired of being the only one that looked like you, and having to defend it. The Richard Wright saying about being woke in America, you got to be mad all the time. I live that. It's actually in my office. Well, we ain't been in the office in 2 years now, but it's in my office because I had to keep on that because I had to represent. And the attitude of Dripping in Black made me create Math Noir, my math program, and we can't let math hold us back. We invented it, so it's Dripping in Black is more than just the podcast. It's the attitude. It's a lifestyle. So yeah. So when I got my tribe, you got to get you have to keep your tribe and expand from there.
That's awesome. We will have those links posted, guys. So be sure to tap into what Shawn has available. And I hope you check out what Poddex has to offer. These questions were out on the Poddex app, and there's some really great products on the Poddex website. Again, use our code C4C. And we thank you guys for listening.
Have a good one. Thank you for having me, Jen.
At this time, we're going to go ahead and conclude the episode. We greatly appreciate you listening. We invite you to follow us on social media. On Instagram, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. On Twitter, it is Woke by. On Facebook, it is Woke by Accident Podcast. We also have the new website up, www.wokebyaccident.net. Please check us out. And also follow us on all of your favorite streaming platforms. And please leave a review and share feedback. You can also reach out by Gmail, wokebyaccident@gmail.com. And every time you listen, we appreciate it so much. Thank you for listening and take care.